Welcome, everyone, to the Everything Show, episode 373. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with David. What's up, David?
What's up, guys? And yes, before anyone comments, yes, I am in my basement. It's a lot cooler down here than in upstairs. So
I'm in my bedroom with the air conditioning in my new office here, so it's pretty cool.
Yes. So yeah, you guys make those jokes. I live in the basement. No. This is much cooler down here.
Yeah. What do you have for us?
All right, so we have apparently Bryan Singer is saying that XMen Apocalypse will be the true birth of the X-Men. When Bryan Singer's XMen Apocalypse to be teased at Comic-Con next weekend, Singer himself spoke with Entertainment Weekly this weekend and says Apocalypse is not only the end of the 6 main X-Men films, but also a birth of sorts for the true X-Men. He said, and I quote, "This is a kind of conclusion of 6 X-Men films, yet a potential rebirth of younger, newer characters. This is the true birth of the X-Men. This is how it happens." So and then they go on to talk about the film Apocalypse's Tomb. But I agree that this is kind of a rebirth. I'm calling this a rebirth of sorts. Because, when you have Hugh Jackman leaving as Wolverine, you have the introduction of Deadpool, who, look, I have no doubt in my mind Deadpool will be involved in the X-Men films in some fashion in the future.
Right.
So by having the retiring of the older characters, we're not having Ian McKellen as Magneto, no Patrick Stewart, no Hugh Jackman. We're having these newer characters. This is a rebirth of the X-Men. This is kind of like, it's not a reboot. It's just a continuation of what we've seen, but with a new team, which I like.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, I heard that Apocalypse is Ian McKellen's last as Magneto. For whatever reason, I believe he's in it. And Patrick Stewart will appear as Professor X in the final Wolverine movie. So after this movie, yes, they could go off on a new tangent with a new team because first class X-Men are no longer signed and the original X-Men team is no longer signed. So they can get a new Professor X, a new Magneto, and new X-Men and just go from there and still be connected to both, both different, both the first class and the original X-Men. So
I think the first class people should stay on. Michael Fassbender does a fantastic job as Magneto, and I actually like what's his name as Xavier.
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy's fantastic. I like him because he's not. It's great when you have a mentor like Patrick Stewart's Professor Xavier, but it's great that in Days of Future Past and in First Class we got to see him doubting himself. That he's not like the perfect mutant that we've all that a lot of people fans of the X-Men praise him to be.
Right.
And I guarantee you, yes, I probably know that the Xavier in the comics has its flaws and he's not perfect, but the point I'm trying to get across here is in the movies he's been that kind of mentor figure that could do no wrong, and it's great to see that change. So I really want to see McAvoy and Fassbender stay along with some of these new characters. I really don't know about Angel though, like Archangel, because those mechanical wings. I'm like, what is that exactly? Is that supposed to be? Because that doesn't look like.
Well, what happened in the comic? In the comic, Apocalypse. I believe. I hope I'm not saying this wrong. I believe that Apocalypse. What happened was somebody cut Angel's wings off. Okay, and then Apocalypse somehow gave him those metallic wings. All right, and he made him a Horseman of Apocalypse, and then he turned on Apocalypse. And then what happens is, in one comic, you see the metal wings, basically getting destroyed because the wings real wings grew back underneath the metal and just
that's cool.
knocked them off, regardless of the fact that it was adamantium or whatever. So, that's what happened. And then he became back to normal. Apocalypse dyed his skin and all this stuff, but eventually his body just, fixed itself, you know? So
Yeah, well,
that's basically it.
I'll say, while I'm not a fan of Fox with the Fantastic Four, which we'll probably talk about next, since we're talking about Fox anyway, is like a lot of people will think just because I refuse to see Fantastic Four, that means that I hate Fox for everything they're doing, and that's not true. I think what they're doing with First Class, what they did with Days of Future Past, and what they're doing with Apocalypse, I will say I enjoy these new X-Men movies. I have walked out of the theater thoroughly enjoying them, and I felt that they were a nice, refreshing take from like the dark grittiness of DC films and the fun tone of Marvel. It seems to have a nice balance in between.
Right.
And I enjoy that that Fox is actually willing to go over the top funny with Deadpool, because we all know that's what it's going to be. It's going to be violent.
It's great that it's rated R, and they don't.
Oh, yeah.
They're not afraid to push the envelope.
But the comedy is really what makes Deadpool Deadpool. So, and I'm glad that they're not saying it has to be dark and gritty and all that. Well, it is going to be bloody and gory, but I'm talking like the subject matter that they're tackling, probably like with the story. It's going to be funny, and we all know it will. Because, I mean, look how hard they've been fighting for this movie to be made, period. I don't think you're going to go all this time building up this movie so much and not give the Deadpool fans the movie that they deserve.
We should have this movie 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm actually kind of happy we're getting it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So,
I think he's going to do fantastic in this movie.
I think he
Ryan
will.
Reynolds.
I think, though, that with this movie, he's gonna, the people who hate Ryan Reynolds for Green Lantern and X-Men Origins, I think this will make up for what the haters say he messed up. Because a lot of people blame Reynolds for those films, when in fact it was just the script for X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it was the script for Green Lantern and the overuse of CGI that ruined it.
First of all, it's not Ryan Reynolds' fault that they got the movie so wrong with Deadpool that the one thing that makes Deadpool awesome is his mouthing off. And they have like this Terminator type Deadpool that can't speak and has all the X-Men's powers, which makes no sense or whatever, and just fights Wolverine. That's not, the script was awful for that when it comes to Deadpool. I mean, I like that movie.
Yeah, the only powers he should have is, I've heard he has teleportation in some respects. I heard that could have been technology, that he has a teleporter, a short-range teleporter, but his healing factor, and that's pretty much it. No adamantium claws. Why'd you take away his katanas? I don't care if you built them into the arms. Why'd you take away his katanas? That was a stupid move, and you people know it. So, yeah, but I think...
What's the next article?
Next article. So, since we're on a tangent about Fox, Josh Trank teases the Fantastic Four Doom battle. Great, another thing.
Wow, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, oh, wait, no, I can. I can wait for that. I'm actually not going to see that film. Ahead of a 20th Century Fox panel at Comic-Con next weekend, Fantastic Four Reboot director Josh Trank has spoken a bit more to Entertainment Weekly about the upcoming film and teased the scene not yet properly glimpsed in the marketing so far. Discussing the quartet's battle with the film's villain, Dr. Doom. He's not even a Dr. Doom, so he's just, I thought you just called him Doom before. So Trank says, the audience should expect an epic, massive, huge, multi-power slugfest. This movie is big. A lot of stakes. Yeah, just because you throw in a bunch of action at the end doesn't make it a good movie.
I got action figures of Dr. Doom that look better than what he looks like in this movie. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go get it right now while you're talking. Yeah. So go ahead. Talk while we go grab it.
Comparisons to Trank's first film, Chronicle, have been made many times in the lead-up to the release of Fantastic Four, but Trank says this has a very different approach. Chronicle was all about the discovery and evolution of those powers. This is like, what if it's a couple years later and it sucks? Oh, so instead of having a film about teenagers discovering and evolving the powers that they get, we're getting another story where teens discover powers and see how they evolve and how they use them. Sounds pretty similar, and given the fact that you actually had to go through reshoots to get them in the costumes to begin with, we almost let Chronicle 2 slip by.
Right.
So,
I just want to show. Excuse me. I just want to show, if I can. It's got a glare. I apologize, but
right there.
anyway, you can't really
like
see.
that.
Yeah, you can't see because of the lighting and stuff. But
there we go.
Perfect. He's really awesome. Okay? Even the animated, like here, this part, and you can see him here, how he's supposed to look. Marvel Legends, the Icon series, looks fantastic, okay? Why can't he look like that? And then another key is the voice. You can't get the voice wrong. It can't sound like he did in the other movies.
Yeah, like here, this is honestly...
Like, what are you talking about? And that's horrible.
Yeah, like, what is this? What is this?
Dude, spend $1 million on the freaking Doctor Doom armor. Spend a little money for crying out loud.
No, look, I guarantee you, I know a guy.
It looks like you grabbed that cloak from like the garbage bin.
Yeah, and seriously, I know
in a dollar store or something.
I have a friend. You give her $300, she could probably whip up a better Doctor Doom costume than this. $300. That's probably all it would cost to get a Doctor Doom costume. Hell, the one from the original films looked more like Doctor Doom than this. Regardless of the performance, let's put the performance out of mind for the first Fantastic Four films. Let's just ignore the performance, whether you thought it was good or bad, and let's just look at the costume. The costume was good. And really, you guys think this like melded face thing looks any better than the original Doctor Doom?
They don't know what Doctor Doom is now. That's the problem. Like, people they're not going to accept it. I don't think so.
No, the funny thing is that these people will turn around and say that we can't accept change. Well, that's hard to imagine because you guys don't know what it originally came from. This to you is the original.
It's not going to be. The movie's going to bomb.
I really hope it bombs.
It's going to severely bomb.
Yeah, it says it says I just said before you got here where Josh Trank was quoted when people were saying, "Oh, it's just like Chronicle." He said Chronicle was all about the discovery and evolution of those powers. This is like, what if it's a couple years later and it sucks? And I just called that out. I said it's exactly like Chronicle. I said, so instead of a bunch of teens getting powers and evolving those powers, like in Chronicle, we're just getting another film where teenagers find powers in different ways and then find how they evolve.
First of all, Fantastic Four came out in the 60s. So, if anything, Chronicle is trying to be like the Fantastic Four. In fact...
Oh, no, they're talking about the movie's style.
I know, but the thing is that when you've seen Chronicle, okay, and you've seen, of the three, the guy that became like a villain, it was like Doctor Doom. He had that cloak and everything, and he was fighting him in the street. That guy was like Doctor Doom, okay? Like, this guy tried to do Chronicle Part 2 because he didn't get permission, and the studio execs are like, dude, what are you doing?
Get him in the costumes.
This is not Chronicle. This is like Fantastic Four. I understand you want to do something like, wow, different, but like, don't make it unrecognizable.
Yeah, like, and seriously... And I found out what you meant about the Ultimate Universe Fantastic Four being really stupid. You know what's funny is actually I watch a guy who reviews comics called Linkara. He has a side series where he looks at horror comics, and he actually looked at the Ultimate Fantastic Four when they did the Marvel Zombies crossover. Ultimate Reed Richards is kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
For someone with a genius level intellect, I'm sorry,
Nothing. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Marvel Comics, all right. If you're a regular reader of all their stuff, right? I've been since 1987 straight, right? They every now and then they try to create like an alternate timeline, and they're saying, all right, you know what? Maybe this timeline's going to be so good that it's going to overtake ours, and it's going to be like a fresh reboot and stuff like that, right? So they came out with this dramatic thing back in the day. You know, SpiderMan 2099, Hulk 2099, Ravage 2099, Punisher 2099. You know what happened? Doom 2099. There was some, you know, people like, oh, cool, Spider-Man 2099. Doctor Doom thing was okay. You know, Doctor Doom was good. You know, Punisher was like what Dexter became, because that's exactly what Dexter, like based on Punisher 2099, he used to capture people and torture them, like to death, like that type of Punisher. And the universe never took to anybody. They liked maybe one or two characters. They hated the Hulk. They was like a lizard type of thing. That they just, and then it just ended. It just ended. And then they try to do other things, like let's do Marvel Knights, and then let's do this, and let's do, you know, Ultimate Spider-Man, right? And then they try to say, well, let's do the Ultimates, which is the Avengers. Let's, you know, make an African-American Nick Fury. Let's, you know, and of all the things that they did, even, you know, Ultimate Spider-Man was great. You know, it would do some cool stuff in it, right? I mean, it wasn't, but it was his own thing. It was never meant to take over. It was never, I mean, in other words, they wanted it to take over, but the fans never accepted it as better than. And so what happened was they decided to do their own thing. They kill off Peter Parker. They make Miles Morales take over, right? There was a little following, a little, right? But not enough to, like, overtake the universe, okay? So they decided, well, you know what? Nobody's getting these books. We're just going to destroy the universe, and we're going to kind of tie in with Secret Wars. We'll have Secret Wars destroy the universe, because they were going to destroy the universe a year or two before Secret Wars.
Yeah, with Ultimatum.
Right, and then they said, oh, well, let's just hold off. So now they say, well, you know what? Let's just keep the best of all these universes and throw it in the Marvel universe. No, I'm sorry, it's not going to work, because so how could you have a history? You're going to retain the Marvel Universe history. Like, the Marvel Universe is going to be restored. Everything that happened to Peter Parker happened. And now you're just going to have people from another universe just be here. Like,
and just take over.
Okay, well, let's see. Spider-Gwen has Captain Stacy. He's dead. So is he going to come over? And in other words, who's going to pick and choose, like, what people stay and what people go? Like, she's part of a rock band, the Mary Janes, like, which is Mary Jane, her, if you know, she's like a drummer or whatever the hell she is. So, like, how the hell is that going to work? Because our Mary Jane is different from her Mary Jane. And, you know, Mary Jane, it's just confusing. Like, Miles Morales will probably be in the universe, but what about his parents or whatever the hell it is? Probably not. So you can't just, you know, that's like what they did. They also did another example, Age of Apocalypse, right? They did that big storyline where Legion, who was the son of Professor X, he had some psychological issues. He decides, I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to kill Magneto. So he goes back in time, and, you know, he thinks if something happens, he makes a mistake, turns around, and he accidentally kills his father before his father fathered him, or whatever, created this whole paradox where he's not born or whatever. Also created a paradox that, you know, now he doesn't form the X-Men. And now Magneto wants to become a good guy and forming the X-Men to take on Apocalypse. What they did was that was going really well, but not enough to take over the Marvel Universe. So what they did was they ended that universe, and they had some members travel to our Marvel Universe and be stuck there. Just like they did with Secret Wars. You had X-Men, which is another version of Cable. Okay? You had the Anti-Beast, which was an evil version of Beast. You had the Sugar Man, and it was somebody else, I can't remember. I believe 4 people, I believe. And then Blink character was like zapping around. She was from an alternate universe. Okay, so every time they keep trying to do alternate universes that just don't work to reboot them all. So then you got a lot of these writers that are just lazy, and they just don't want to research, oh, this happened to the character. Oh, this happened to the character. I can't do this. So they start doing their own stuff, which makes no sense to the back history. And fans are like, because a lot of the fans are like, been with Marvel for like 30, 40, 50, many years, decades. So they're like, why are you doing that? You did this already. You did this. So this is like a lazy way to say, hey, we could do whatever stories we want and get away with it without actually having like the history of retaining the history. Because they just don't want to go that far back. And that's wrong. But like, you can't make the characters unrecognizable. You can't have, I saw one comic where Captain America is fighting Cable, like pre-Avengers vs. X-Men, having a gun and going to shoot him. No, he doesn't use guns. He fights with a shield. So
he
why
used
do
to
you
use guns back in World War II, but he's past
but that was like, so,
yeah.
How many decades is he without the guns?
And he's proved time and time again he doesn't need guns. Well, that didn't stop. Like, I actually own the Revenge of the Mandarin storyline for Iron Man, the one from the 90s. And he actually did use guns against AIM, but that was their own guns. He was using their weapons against them. So I consider that a loophole. But
But
yeah,
I just,
he had a cool laser shield.
They did all these stupid things like now in the Marvel Universe to try to make it cool. Like, oh, Iron Man had his hand in the gamma bomb. No. Iron Man did not invent the gamma bomb. He did not invent anything, not even mechanism or anything.
Oh, they didn't say he invented it, because in that tie-in to Original Sin, what they did was that the Watcher had said that the military brought Tony Stark on as a consultant for the gamma bomb, and what really happened was, instead of Bruce interpreting that Tony made the Hulk by tinkering with the amount of gamma yield, Tony saved his life. They said because the reason he said to make the gamma bomb bigger was because by making it so small as Bruce did, he unintentionally made it a much more destructive weapon. So by making the bomb bigger, by tinkering with the payload, he saved Bruce's life.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. In our history that I know, Iron Man had nothing to do with that. So there was no reason to connect it. Just like one writer tried to make it like Norman Osborn is behind what happened to Peter Parker and having his powers. Was. No, he wasn't. Norman Osborn, no, he was not. This is what either John Byrne or whatever they tried to rehash and redo. No. Again, it was a radioactive spider in a school experiment. Had nothing to do with Oscorp. Had nothing to do with Norman Osborn at all. I don't care if John Byrne did it or whatever. That didn't happen in 1963. That is not. It happened in Ultimate Spider-Man that Norman Osborn had the thing radioactive spider. That was that universe, but that's not the real universe.
Then maybe I'm thinking of the wrong universe. But I mean,
Ultimate universe.
Well, I will agree with you on one thing. I don't think whoever's going to be the villain of the new Spider-Man movies, don't have him be tied to Oscorp, which is why I want Mysterio as a villain. Like the special effects artist, Mysterio, not the original Mysterio. So I think like it'd be great because every single villain's been tied to Oscorp in some way. Like whether it was Green Goblin, I think only Doc Ock was actually no.
No, that's you have to do the correction here. Okay.
What?
Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 was a separate universe from Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Oh, no. I'm saying all Spider-Man films in general have had their villains usually tied to Oscorp in some fashion.
Not the, well, yeah, I know what you're saying, Doc Ock. Yeah, all right, Doc Ock, okay.
Doc Ock,
I agree.
Goblin,
No connection to Oscorp, correct.
Yeah, what we need is we need a villain that does not directly spawn from Oscorp. We don't need them to be
never did in the comics, so they don't need to have Oscorp so big that it created all these villains, because that didn't happen that way.
No, it didn't.
It's all separate. So keep them separate.
Yeah, which is why I say Mysterio for the win. That's just me holding out hope.
I'm hoping too.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Chris Evans also congratulated Tom Holland for getting the role, and so close. Charlie Rowe was the other person who was picked against Tom Holland to be Spider-Man, and I wish Tom Holland well. I really wish it was Charlie Rowe, but I hope,
I think Tom Holland's going to do fantastic.
I think he will. So yeah, that's good. So
all right, let's get to the next article. What do we have?
Well, since we're on Marvel, we'll talk about the Selma director will not be directing Black Panther. Selma director Ava DuVernay has officially ended the rumors that she would be taking the helm of Marvel's Black Panther. Speaking with Essence Magazine, DuVernay provided a definitive answer about her involvement. Quote, I'm not signing on to direct Black Panther. I just think I'll say we had different ideas about what the story would be. Marvel has a certain way of doing things, and I think they're fantastic, and a lot of people love what they do. I loved that they reach out to me. I loved meeting Chadwick Boseman and writers and all of the Marvel execs. In the end, it comes down to story and perspective, and we just didn't see eye to eye. Better for me to realize that now than cite creative differences later. I love the character of Black Panther, the nation of Wakanda, and all that could be visually. I wish them all well and will be the first in line to see it. Now, yeah, just saying right now, I've actually heard rumors that Ava was actually very difficult director to work with in the first place.
Okay.
And I like now that they're actually that I respect her for splitting off right now, before, other than, you know, sticking around and causing problems, just arguing with the Marvel execs about where the movie wanted to go. Obviously, they have a clear plan for what they want the movie to be like. And I think, you know, at this point, you should follow the plan. Otherwise, you're going to create a lot of continuity errors if you just take the film in just an entirely different direction. I don't hate this director at all. I actually kind of want to see Selma, but I haven't had the pleasure of seeing that yet. Right. But I mean, you know, more power to her for leaving on her own accord, and that she was like, okay, yeah, we don't see eye to eye on this. I'm gonna bow out rather than just sticking around and trying to fight the powers that be.
The only Marvel movie that I feel they're gonna make a mistake with is the Inhumans. I mean, right now, well, Captain Marvel's too early to tell, but so far I'm worried about Inhumans. I'm not. I mean, again, with the Avengers: Infinity War, I should be worried about that more, because if they screwed that up, then forget it. But
well, I'm not worried because it's in the hands. Look, I think we'll get a gauge of how that's going to be when we see Civil War, because these are the guys who worked on Winter Soldier. And, you know, critically, the reception for Winter Soldier was a lot higher than a lot of Marvel films.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
So I definitely like where that the Russo brothers are helming Civil War. I like that. I think this is kind of like their test run for Infinity War, because there are a lot of characters that are going to be in Civil War. So, you know,
let's go with the. You can finish off, and then I think we'll do the Legends of Tomorrow after this.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of their dry run for Infinity War. Like, if they mess this up, they're going to seriously, I think Kevin Feige and them are going to have a real sit down and talk about what they're going to do for Infinity War.
Right.
And I mean, even look, if saving Infinity War means you have to make a third part, do it.
I don't really see that's necessary.
Well, no, I'm just saying, worst case scenario, if you think that the film can't be contained within 2 films, which...
Oh, yeah, if you have to. You're shooting it back-to-back anyway. So just, you know, release 6 months apart or a year apart, whatever.
Yeah, so that's
I have a problem with... My biggest problem is, I mean, what is it, a year apart it's going to be the Avengers?
Yep,
Infinity War Part 1?
May 2018 and May 2019.
I have a problem with it being so late. That's my problem. It's like, why does it have to be so far out there? Why? I mean, we're in 2015. They should have popped that out for 2017 or 16 or something. I mean, it's just way too long.
It's the same amount of time for Age of Ultron. Seriously, it was 3 years since Avengers 1 that we got Age of Ultron. Right. So literally, we're waiting the exact same amount of time for Infinity War Part 1, and we only got to wait 1 year.
I think it's just they should find a way to pop it out a little faster. If Star Wars could pop one out every year, then I think they should do something.
Yeah, well, I personally disagree. I'm more than content to wait and see what other great movies come out of the woodwork, like Guardians, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel,
Right.
and the like. So, anyway, let's look at this. DC's Legends of Tomorrow is gonna screw up history. I actually saw this coming, and I'm happy about this. So,
In a bad way.
yeah, through the first season of the CW's The Flash, played with time travel elements, the upcoming spin-off series DC's Legends of Tomorrow will put that front and center for its story of a collection of various side characters from both The Flash and Arrow coming together under the guidance of time traveler Rip Hunter. Talking to Entertainment Weekly, showrunner Phil Kleber says this group aren't exactly the most delicate of time travelers, so expect variations of the butterfly effect to occur. He said, and I quote, "They're screw-ups. Instead of tiptoeing through history, they're plodding through it, leaving their footprints and fingerprints and constantly having to wonder whether or not they're going to screw up the future rather than fix it. It's going to be total madness." The team take on Vandal Savage for the main season-long arc, but that won't stop them from doing some side missions to fix their own potential problems. Quote, "Who can resist the urge to correct the past or investigate the future? The idea of traveling through time has a caper quality to it. And that's what we're looking forward to. Yes, there will be the big try to stop Vandal Savage plot, but people will inevitably become diverted on their little side missions. And when people are trying to fix their own timeline, that's when you really start screwing things up." And there's also a new piece of concept art from the show, which shows off Firestorm, who finally gets a costume. I'm going to actually screen share that so you guys get to see it. It's not really a costume. It's pretty much just what he looks, just a little bit more what he looks like. It's just that it's actually doesn't even look as different than his normal suit, to be honest. But yeah, you got Firestorm here. You got Captain Cold over here. You've got the Atom, and you got the Flash way over here. So
I can't see it.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Here you go. Can you see it now?
Yes. Okay. Very good.
So yeah.
Let's go.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this show. I honestly feel this will be a good show.
Now, this will be a show that's going to have a couple of years on in its belt, or is it going to be like a one-hit wonder?
So.
1 year.
Again, it really all depends on how successful the show is from the get-go. I mean,
so in other words, how does this take place? Like, if there's going to be an Arrow season, a Flash season, this is going to be like a. I mean, how are they going to interact between tying in with Arrow and the Flash's own series? Like,
well, here's the thing: Grant Gustin has confirmed that he will be appearing on Legends of Tomorrow in some capacity. Whether or not he's staying for the full show is anyone's guess. I highly doubt that because he's got to have his own.
Too.
But what's going to happen is the mid-season finale will be setting up what will happen with Vandal Savage and with Oliver and Barry putting the team together to begin with. And that will actually, that's going to help spawn Legends of Tomorrow because that is actually premiering in the during the mid-season break. So we're going to have Legends of Tomorrow in January while the Flash and Arrow are on break. And then I think we're going to have Flash on Tuesday, we're going to have Arrow on Wednesday, and on Thursday we'll have Legends of Tomorrow.
Cool. What's up, Dave?
Hi.
All right, we're talking about Legend of Tomorrow, the timelines and stuff. You hear us?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, the thing I have a problem with this is that you're going to have this start off when Flash and Arrow on break, right?
Yes.
Then it's going to finish, and then Arrow and Flash are going to start, correct?
Yeah.
So in other words, they're going to have this mission now. Is this going to be a full season?
No, this is going to be a shorter season. They're cutting down on the number of episodes. I do not remember how many episodes they have.
It's got to be. Is it going to be like an Agent Carter thing, where it's going to be like 6 episodes?
No, it's going to be a little bit longer than that. Like I would say 15 episodes at most. But
Right.
that's the thing, because this is going to be much more special effects heavy to cut down on, to actually make it fit within the budget that the series has. That's why they're cutting it down from a full season down to, this limited series that they have going on.
And also,
Depending
if
on how
Arrow
this-
and Flash are going to be appearing, their money is going to have to go to the roof because you're doing now 2 series, so they should be getting paid heavy for that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I would
I
think.
think it's just going to be special appearances now and then, because a lot of the people have been saying that Legends of Tomorrow will be focusing on the brand new team rather than Barry or
Oh, then
all.
I'm not going to. I don't really care about that. That's.
Well, no, I think we should, because Vandal Savage is a very, very cool villain from DC
Right.
continuity, and I think that we're having our own. This is basically going to be like our own little Justice League.
Right, so Vandal Savage is like King the Conqueror.
Vandal
Basically.
Savage, yeah, he was a prehistoric human. This is from what I know from DC lore. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but what it was, he was a prehistoric human that when a meteor crashed down to Earth, the radiation mutated him in a way that made him more intelligent, and as far as he knows, he cannot be killed by any means. And
That's
he has lived, yeah, he's lived forever.
Okay. Right. Anything you want to say, Daniel, on that?
No. This sounds cool. I don't really know the character though.
If you want to know the character and you actually want to see him, Young Justice has Vandal Savage featured prominently in season 1. Though, if you really want to get a glimpse for how much of an awesome villain he is, look for the movie Justice League Doom. That's the one where they steal Batman's plans for how to take down the Justice League, and they go after each member. Savage is the orchestrator of all that, which is actually pretty cool.
Okay.
Cool.
I highly recommend it.
Oh, well, speaking of the Justice League, have you seen Justice League of Gods and Monsters? I haven't seen it yet.
It hasn't come out yet.
No? Oh yeah. Okay. I see.
It's
I
not
thought.
coming out until the 17th, I think.
Yeah. Is it in the DCAU?
Well, of course it's going to be a DC alternate universe. That's not Bruce Wayne under the hood.
No, I know, but is it like the DCAU from the '90s, all the way up to Justice League Unlimited?
No, this is not within that continuity.
Oh.
This is not in the Timverse. The Timverse is completely different. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the Timverse incorporates Superman the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. That is the That's what we call the Timverse. While this is based off of Bruce Timm, this could be part of Bruce Timm's multiverse, but I highly doubt this has in no way connections to any of the Bruce Timm animated series.
Right.
Yeah, because he said he'll be back, and like the DCAU, he said that it's like in a state of suspended animation for now. It may come back in the future, but
I highly doubt it'll come back.
Right. What's the next article? Let's go to the last article, actually.
I kind of don't want to read that one because that says it has spoilers, and I have not seen this movie.
Okay. On that note, go see Terminator Genesis. We're not going to talk about it because I don't want to ruin it for David and Daniel. Have a great 4th of July, people. We are going to come back after the 4th of July Monday, so stay tuned for that. Daniel's, we're going to do a Star Trek cast next week, Daniel. It is going to happen, so we're going to do that next week.
Make sure that James and Mike D is there.
Okay.
Because it's no fun without them. It's no fun without them.
No
Are
problem.
you insinuating that I'm not fun at all? I am hurt.
No.
I am hurt, sir.
Oh man, you're great too. But it's that they know so much more about Star Trek.
My dear Daniel,
don't worry, we're gonna have it's gonna be Trekkie Central. Don't worry.
Yeah. Also Modern Age Nerd. Because you try to find Modern Age Nerd, he's cool too.
All right, I'll try to find my nation. Okay.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Hayden, I hope you're watching. Daniel wants to talk about Star Trek. All right. On that note, happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. Take care. Bye for now.